All right, good morning. We have Bible study number 17. We're picking up on page 31, Lands of the Bible, a brief survey of peoples, kingdoms, and major events. Let's go ahead and start with a prayer. Lord, speak to me. Lord, speak through me. Dear Heavenly Father, creator of all things and the guide of my steps, I come to you today with an open and seeking heart. I long to know your presence more deeply and to align my life more closely with your will. Lord, speak to me. Open my ears to hear your still, small voice amidst the noise of the world. Give me discernment to recognize your truth and wisdom in every circumstance. Quiet my distractions so that I may sit in stillness and truly listen when you guide me. Lord, speak through me. Use my words to bring comfort, encouragement, and healing to those who are hurting. Fill my mouth with grace and truth so that I may point others toward your boundless love. Anoint my actions and my choice so that my life becomes a clear reflection of your character. Melt away my self-doubt and my pride, replacing them with your boldness and humility. Take complete control of my thoughts, my words, and my daily interactions today. In your holy and precious name I pray. Amen. Get into the lands of the Bible, a brief survey of peoples, kingdoms, and major events. Part 1, the ancient near past. So this looks like it goes in chronological order. When I was reading it before, I was kind of going by nation or country or empire, but this does look like it goes in chronological order, so we're going to go ahead and switch it up this time and read it in chronological order. So last time on the office hours videos, I did it the other way. So give us a chance to reread it in a different way. I mean, it's lands of the Bible, it's not really verses, but maybe we can pick something new up. You never know. All right, the ancient Near East. So in Egypt, from 3200 to 1800 before Christ, Egypt had 30 dynasties. In Mesopotamia, from 3200 to 1800 before Christ, the Sumerian Empire was made up of the first people of the ancient Middle East. It had a very high culture and remained in power for more than 1,000 years. Egypt, circa 3200 BC, pre-dynastic period, 2 kingdoms, the Kingdom of the Delta with its capital at Buto, Kingdom of Upper Egypt with its capital at Nekhen. 3200 BC in Mesopotamia. Jemdet Nasser period, at the time of Uruk IV, an era of expansion and irradiation of the Sumerian culture. In Egypt, 2900 BC, the first dynasty rules Egypt for about 100 years. In Mesopotamia, 2900 BC, Mesolene period, dominated by the Lagash dynasties, the first, second, and third. 2800 BC in Egypt, the second dynasty, with its residence near Memphis, rules Egypt for about 200 years. 2650, 2650 BC, the first Dynasty period, an era of struggle for power between the cities of Lagash and Ur. Lugal-Zaggisi tries to establish a Sumerian kingdom united to the Uruk capital, but his efforts fail. In 2600 BC in Egypt, the third dynasty, Old Memphite Kingdom, it rules Egypt for about 50 years and erects the first pyramid. In 2550 BC in Egypt, the fourth dynasty signals the apogee of the Memphite Empire. The largest pyramids are constructed, and it rules Egypt for about 100 years. In Egypt, 2450 BC, the fifth dynasty, worship of the sun god predominates, rules Egypt for about 100 years. And in Egypt in 2350 BC, the sixth dynasty marks the end of the Memphite kingdom, rules Egypt for about 150 years. In Mesopotamia, 2350 BC, the Akkadian period, an age of great expansion, Sargon I unites all Mesopotamia under one kingdom, Akkadians and Sumerians become one people. In 2200 BC in Egypt, the seventh dynasty seems to have never existed, or seems never to have existed. It had 70 kings in 70 days. A lot of turmoil. And then in 2200 BC, after that 70-day period, we had the eighth dynasty emerge. It finds Egypt divided into three kingdoms: the Delta, Middle Egypt, and Upper Egypt. In 2200 BC in Mesopotamia, this is the Gutian period. This is the transformation of the entire Sumerian culture. The king begins to have himself called God. Sumerian customs, languages, and strategies are repressed. Double uh-oh. 2150 BC in Egypt. This is the 9th, 10th, and 11th dynasties. Battle for the unification of Egypt. With the 11th dynasty begins the Middle Theban Kingdom. In 2000 BC in Egypt, the 12th dynasty, Egypt reaches the apogee of its history. It invades Palestine and Syria, rules Egypt for about 200 years, the classic period of literary Egyptian language. In 2000 BC in Mesopotamia, this is the third Dynasty period. New political and cultural predominance on the part of the Sumerians. The efforts of King Ur-Nammu make this the most prosperous kingdom of Sumer. Sumerians and Akkadians become reconciled. In Egypt in 1800 BC, this is the 13th dynasty. It marks the decline of Egypt. In Mesopotamia, 1800 BC, the Sumerian Empire disappears with the foundation of the First Babylonian Kingdom. Looks like we got 3 in a row here. All right. Nice. Okay. We got this whole entire page here. So you got Egypt, Assyria, and Babylonia. In 1830 BC in Assyria. Assyria. Whoa, what are you doing? Siri's listening for some reason. All right, that's cool. Wants to be part of the conversation. Hey Siri, you trying to be part of the conversation here? All right, Siri went away. I caught it stalking us. It happens every once in a while. That's fine. I got nothing to hide. Siri can listen all at once. We got 1830 to 1833 BC. This is Assyria. And then we have Babylonia, 1830 to 330 before Christ. And then Egypt, 1800 to 330 before Christ. So it looks like Assyria and Babylonia are first up here. 1830 BC, Assyria is ruled by a strong indigenous dynasty, Sargon I. In 1830 BC in Babylonia, this is the start of the first dynasty, Babylonian Amorite, with the capital at Babel. In 1750 BC in Egypt, this is the 14th, 15th, and 16th dynasties, period of the Hyksos, occupation of Egypt. Period of the Hyksos and occupation of Egypt. All right. So Hyksos occupied Egypt. In 1750 BC in Assyria, Assyria comes under an Amorite dynasty, Shamshi Adad I, and then forms part of the empire of Hammurabi. In circa 1750 BC in Babylonia, Babylonia reaches the apogee of its greatness with King Hammurabi. His dominion extends over all of Mesopotamia and part of Assyria and Elam. 1700, nothing there for Assyria. 1700 BC, this is the second Babylonian dynasty, called that of the land of the sea, that is near the foci of the Tigris and Euphrates. 1600 BC in Egypt. This is the 17th and 18th dynasties, the new Theban kingdom, battles against the Hyksos. Amos the first occupies Palestine. Thutmose the first conquers Syria, and Thutmose the third wins the battle of Megiddo. Megiddo. So keep track here. All right, so in 1500 BC in Assyria, this is the rise of the Hurite kingdom of Mitanni, which subjugates even Assyria. 1500 BC, the third Babylonian dynasty made up of the Kassites stemming from the Iranian highland. Excuse me. Give me 1 second. All right. My nose always gets so itchy. It's always so itchy. It's like literally the most annoying part of my body. I can't make it just stop. Wish I had an off switch for it, but I don't. And cybercore cybernetics come into play, but that'll be later on. Not quite yet. Ireland, so 1500, 1400. Okay, so in Assyria in 1400 BC, the kingdom of Mitanni becomes a vassal of the Hittites. There. We got 1266 would be the next date. Oh, wait, no. We got 1315 BC in Egypt. This is the 19th dynasty. Seti I defeats the Hittites at Kadesh. Ramses II again invades Palestine and Syria. This is the oppression of the Hebrews and the exodus of the Hebrews. Moses and Aaron. 1200. All right, we got 1266 BC in Assyria. Shalmaneser the first proclaims himself king of Assyria. In 1200 BC in Egypt, we have the 20th dynasty with the capital at Thebes. Ramses III battles against the sea peoples. In 1112 BC in Assyria, we have Tiglath-Pileser I founds the Assyrian power and extends its dominion from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean. In circa 1112 BC in Babylonia, this is the new Babylonian dynasty. Nebuchadnezzar the first delivers Babylonia from the Elamite invasion. In 1050 BC, in Egypt, this is the 21st dynasty with a capital at Tanis. This is the new decline of Egypt. And in 950 BC in Egypt, we have the 22nd dynasty. Influence of Egypt over all of Palestine. Shishak I, I guess he's ruling during that time. This is the biblical Shishak. We have 900 BC in Babylonia. This is the decline in political power of Babylonia, which falls under the hegemony of Assyria while retaining autonomous dynasties. Okay, 883 BC in Assyria, Ashurnasirpal II extends the empire into northern Mesopotamia. In 858 BC in Assyria, Shalmaneser III attacks the Arameans of Damascus. Attacks the Arameans of Damascus, the small states of Phoenicia and Israel. 30. All right, in 745 BC in Assyria, Tiglath-Pileser III intervenes in the war of Damascus and Israel against Judah and reduces them to vassal states. And in 745 BC in Babylonia, the king of Assyria also assumes the title of king of Babylonia. 6. All right, so 730 BC in Egypt. This is the 24th dynasty, founded by Tefnach and the Chorus. In 726 BC in Assyria, Shalmaneser V besieges Samaria. In 721 BC in Assyria, Sargon II destroys the kingdom of Israel and deports its inhabitants. All right, in 730 BC in Egypt, this is the 24th dynasty. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. I said 15. 715 BC, this is the 25th dynasty, Nubian, founded by the Ethiopian Shabaka, unifies the Egyptian Empire. 650. All right, in 704 BC in Assyria, Sennacherib lays siege to Jerusalem and devastates Babylonia. All right, 680 BC in Assyria, Esarhaddon lifts Assyria's power to its height. 668 BC in Assyria, Ashurbanipal rules over the most splendid period of Assyrian art and culture. History that typically marks it. Yeah, okay, we're gonna get to that. I was gonna say, and historically, you focus more on art and culture and stuff like that. It's usually like right about the time you're about to decline. Okay. Okay. Followers, but it's kind of one of the signs. Art and culture are good. I'm just saying when you're like more focused on that than anything else. We'll see. We need to read more into culture. I'm not jumping to conclusions or trying to make assumptions or anything like that. We're trying to read it, understand it, and not jump into any conclusions. 650, where were we? Okay, 650 BC in Egypt. This is the 26th dynasty with capital at Sais, the Saitic period. Necho invades Palestine and conquers Mari. And in 625 to 612 BC in Assyria, this is the decline of the Assyrian kingdom and the fall of Nineveh. The fall of Nineveh. 605 BC in Babylonia, Nabopolassar captures Nineveh and initiates the Neo-Babylonian Empire or Chaldean Empire. All right, in 538 BC, Nebuchadnezzar the second subjugates and then destroys the kingdom of Judah in 598 to 587 BC. This is the end of the Chaldean Empire under Nabonidus and Balthazar. In 500 BC in Egypt, this is the 27th dynasty, the dynasty of the Persians from Cambyses to Darius II, who governed Egypt as a province of Persian Empire. In 450 BC in Egypt, so the rest of these 450, 400, and 360 are going to be in Egypt. 450 BC, the 28th dynasty, constituted by the Egyptian Amyrtaeus, battles Persian domination in Egypt. In 400 BC, this is the 29th dynasty, founded by Nepheritis I. In 360 BC, the 30th dynasty, founded by Nectanebo I, enjoys some prosperity until the Persians, with Artaxerxes III, reconquered Egypt in 342. It is the last indigenous dynasty. The Persian domination under the 31st dynasty lasts only a short time, since in 332 BC, Alexander the Great puts an end to pharaonic civilization. End of the pharaohs. No more pharaohs. No more men pronouncing themselves gods. Until you get to Jesus. But then after that, we're good again. All right. Let's see how we got this here. Okay, so this whole page is we're on page 34 now. Where we at? Okay. Lands of the Bible, page 34. The Persian Empire. Cyrus the Great ruled from 559 to 529 BC. In 529 BC, we had Cambyses. In 521 BC, we had Darius the First, Hystaspes, 485 BC, Xerxes the First, or Ahasuerus in the book of Esther. Ahasuerus in the book of Esther. In 464 BC, Artaxerxes the First. In 424 BC, we had Xerxes the Second. In 424 BC, we had Darius the Second. 404 BC, Artaxerxes the Second. And 385 BC, there's Artaxerxes the Third. In 337 BC, there was Arses. In 335 to 330, we had BC, we had Darius the Third, Kataman. In 333 BC, there was Empire of Alexander the Great. And I had a little note here, it says Alexander the Great OG is 333 BC JC. 133 before Christ. Sorry, my nose is really itchy for some reason. There's nothing in it either. It's itchy for no reason. All right, Egypt. Let's see, make sure we're going in order here. So we have Egypt and Syria / Mesopotamia. So Syria, Mesopotamia. From Alexander. Ooh, still waking up here. Sorry. Give me strength. Egypt from Alexander the Great to 30 BC. And then Syria to Mesopotamia from Alexander the Great to 30 BC. In Egypt, from 333 to 323 BC, Kingdom of Alexander the Great in Egypt. With the death of Alexander the Great in Egypt, a new Hellenistic dynasty begins, that of the Lagids, with capital at Alexandria. It is composed of 9 kings. In 332 to 323 BC, Kingdom of Alexander the Great in all of Asia. At the death of Alexander the Great in Syria, the Hellenistic dynasty of the Seleucids is begun with capital at Antioch. In 312 BC, in Syria, Mesopotamia, Seleucus I Nicator founds the Seleucid dynasty. He dies by assassination. Is this the first recorded assassination, or have there been assassinations before? I don't know. Wonder. You ever think about how many people have lived in history and didn't know how to read or write or record their information? Like how many lives are just completely lost to history, and like just because we don't know about them, they're forgotten. That sucks, man. So like I'm all about just transparency and getting information out there so people can really see people for who they are. Like I even go outside and people don't understand who I am, but it's the reasons, one of many, many reasons why I do all these videos. It's basically so people can get a more well-rounded experience if they actually take the time. But I try to explain it too. But yeah, I feel like I'm very misunderstood and very misinterpreted by pretty much everyone. Parents, friends. and pretty much everybody else. It's misinterpreted. This is why I wish we could just be telepathic. I wish we could just communicate honesty, true justice, this full disclosure, better understanding. But people are limited in that sense. We can't just relay information telepathically and have each other read our minds and make things so much easier and expedite so many processes. But again, that's what cybercore augmentations is for. We're going to work on that. Maybe in tandem with Neuralink, who knows? Let's see how well they do. Let's see, where are we at? In 305 BC, Ptolemy the First Soter, noble Macedonian, rules Egypt for almost 20 years. In 285 BC, Ptolemy II, Philadelphus, son of Soter, literature and the arts flourish. He rules Egypt for almost 35 years. In 280 BC, in Syria, Mesopotamia, Antiochus the First Soter, son of the preceding, he leaves his power to his son. In 261 BC, in Syria, Mesopotamia, Antiochus II, Theos, before dying, names his firstborn as his heir. In 246 BC, in Egypt, Ptolemy III, Euergetes, son of Philadelphus, he undertakes an expedition in Syria, but internal troubles in Egypt oblige him to abandon his effort. In 246 BC, in Syria, Mesopotamia, Seleucus II, Callinicus, undergoes the Third Syrian War. In 226 BC, in Syria, Mesopotamia, Seleucus III, Ceraunus, son of Callinicus, accomplishes nothing of note. That's your age is Joe Biden. Okay. All right, 223 BC in Syria, Mesopotamia, Antiochus III, the Great, brother of Ceraunus, defeated by the Romans, leaves his kingdom in great poverty. Oh no, what'd you do? You spend all your money? I guess technically spend all the people's money. 221 BC in Egypt, Ptolemy IV, Philopator, son of Euergetes, he resumes the war in Syria and defeats the adversary king at Raphia in 217 BC. In 203 BC in Egypt, Ptolemy V, Epiphanes, son of Philopator, he becomes his father's successor at the age of 5. Other people were ruling that empire, speaking through him, or more just using his name and probably passing a bunch of rules and decrees and stuff like that. Or what was it, the one that had the mother that was basically using the king, or the king was like in power, but she was like representing to him in power until he got older, and she was just like reaping all kinds of havoc. Forget who that was. And this is top of page 35. Okay, so we got Syria, Mesopotamia in 187 BC. Seleucus the Fourth, Philopator, son of the preceding, has an insignificant reign. Another guy that did nothing, or people didn't like him, so it's like, yeah, this guy didn't do. In 180 BC, in Egypt, Ptolemy the Sixth, Philometor, son of Epiphanes, since he is very young, he governs under the tutelage of his mother. Ooh, is this the guy? I wonder if this is the guy. Yeah, we're still reading. We're still learning more about history. All right, 700. I already know a lot about history, but delving into the Bible this time. 175 BC in Syria, Mesopotamia. All right, these next few are going to be Syria, Mesopotamia, and then I'll let you know when we get back over to Egypt. It's going to be in 145 BC. So in 175 BC in Syria, Mesopotamia, Antiochus IV Epiphanes, brother of Philopator, is hostile to the Hebrews. He initiates the first religious persecution. He dies during a military expedition in Persia. What a dick. And he dies in 164 BC. So this is the very first religious persecution, at least that's documented. Okay. And maybe. At least that's documented in the Bible, let's see. It says first religious persecution. I usually take things with a grain of salt, though. So 164 BC, Antiochus VII Eupator succeeds his father at the age of 12 and rules for 2 years as a mere instrument of Lysias. In 161 BC, Demetrius I Soter, son of Seleucus fourth, son of Seleucus IV, dies fighting Alexander Balas. In 150 BC, Alexander Balas, usurper, succeeds Demetrius I. Obliged to flee, he is killed. In 145 BC, now we're going to Egypt. Ptolemy VII Physcon, brother of the preceding, also called Euergetes II, succeeds his brother, who has been taken prisoner by Antiochus IV. In 145 BC, in Syria, Mesopotamia, Demetrius II Nicator, son of Demetrius I, is taken prisoner by the Parthians. In 145 BC, in Syria, Mesopotamia, Antiochus VI, son of Alexander Balas, usurps the kingdom while Demetrius is in prison. In 138 BC, Syria, Mesopotamia, Antiochus VII, Sidetes, brother of Demetrius II, conquers Gazara, Joppa, and Acre. He despoils Jerusalem and is killed by the Parthians. In 129 BC, in Syria, Mesopotamia, Demetrius II returns to power after his imprisonment. In 125 BC, in Syria, Mesopotamia, Antiochus VIII Gryphus, brother of Demetrius II, is killed by Heraclon. In 116 BC in Egypt, Ptolemy VIII Soter II Lathyrus has a most difficult life. In 113 BC in Syria, Mesopotamia, Antiochus IX Cyzicenus, Antiochus IX Cyzicenus. The list of Seleucids goes on. It constitutes one continuous struggle on the part of pretenders to the throne who are ever ready to extend themselves in neighboring lands, but inept to defend their own territory from foreign kings and petty local rulers. They fight only for their own personal and family honor, not for the good of their country. That's where you mess up. Yep. So many people have done it all through history, and people still do it today. All right. It's human nature, and we got to figure out how to root that out. Let's pay attention to history. It doesn't repeat exactly, but it does surely rhyme. All right, and 108 BC in Egypt, Ptolemy IX, or Alexander I, Auletes is the illegitimate son of the preceding, illegitimate son of Soter II of Ptolemy VIII. In 50, well, hold on a second. It's different, okay. In 51 BC, at the death of Auletes, Cleopatra VII ascends to the throne, protected by Julius Caesar and later by Antony. She kills herself after Antony's defeat at Actium. Egypt becomes a Roman province. So we'll pick up on lands of the Bible. This next part is going to be the Hebrew people, going back to 1850 BC. Let's see this. All right, cool. So we'll pick up on part 2, the Hebrew people, going through their history. Let's close with a prayer. Y'all ready? Let's go. Oh, see. Oh, okay. I'll edit that on my own after I finish the video. Okay. So the modern Lord's Prayer. Our beloved Creator, who dwells among all things, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom will arrive upon the shoulders of your children. Your command will be fulfilled on earth as it is in heaven. Allow us to gratefully experience each day and each breath, the spirit of life, as an abundant feast of nourishment. Your word is truly sacred and enduring. Your blessings are the lifeblood we receive as a means to carry out your dear will. Please forgive us our offenses as we forgive our offenders. Have mercy upon all who buy deeply for atonement. Although we may act out of ignorance, make your divine grace known to all who desperately seek enlightenment. Do not lead us into temptation, but guide our impulses and protect us and deliver us from evil. For the entirety of creation is your domain, and we devote all power, glory, and praise to you now and forever. Truly, kindly, and wholeheartedly I pray. Amen. All right. Cool. Hope everyone has an amazing day. That wraps it up for Bible study number 17. All right. Y'all take care. See you on the next one.